Something you want to have good knowledge of as a jazz guitar player is your 2-5-1s in both major and minor keys. Ideally, all of them. Well, that's 12 major 2-5-1s and 12 minor 2-5-1s. It's a heck of a lot of information to learn. So how do you go about learning this and committing this information to memory? And I want to share with you today a practice progression that I really love to help with this thing you need to learn. And it's a progression that includes both the major 2-5-1 and then the minor 2-5-1 from the relative minor. Practice this chord progression, practice it in other keys, and you'll be well on your way to getting your harmony knowledge down. It's very common for these 2-5-1s to come in pairs. You'll see them in songs together. So it's good to practice them together to be aware of the link between them. Now, how this link works, if we've got the key of C major, so based off a C scale, we have the following chords: C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B minor 7 flat 5, C, with each one getting a Roman numeral and the 2-5-1 being D minor 7, G7 to C major 7. We take the relative minor, and the relative minor of C major is A minor. We can build the same chords, but now A minor becomes chord 1. We'd have A minor, B minor 7 flat 5, C major 7, D minor 7. Now technically we should have E minor 7 next, but we're probably going to borrow a chord here and have E7 as our 5 chord, F major 7, G7 back to A minor. So our 2-5-1 in A minor is B minor 7 flat 5, E7, A minor, giving us the major 2-5-1, D minor 7, G7 to C, and the minor 2-5-1, B minor 7 flat 5, E7 to A minor. So if you're in a song in C major or A minor, vice versa, you're likely to get both of those two coming up. A good example of this, take a look at Black Orpheus. So we're going to start out with the major 2-5-1 and then move to the relative minor with the minor 2-5-1. So we're going to go like this: D minor 7, G7, C major to F major 7. So that's chord 2, chord 5, chord 1, chord 4. B minor 7 flat 5, E7 to A minor. So that's our 2-5-1 in A minor. So we've had the major 2-5-1, D minor 7, G7, C, and the minor 2-5-1 from the relative minor, B minor 7 flat 5, E7, A minor. So in this progression we get to practice the major and the minor 2-5-1 from the relative major, relative minor. And if you listen to this progression, just notice how it comes to rest on the C when we get there now. But then this F major 7 creates a sort of movement somewhere else, and then the progression doesn't rest again until we get to the A minor. Here and now on the examples I put an A7 at the very end. Why? Because A7 is a dominant chord and it's the dominant of D, so it will help us start the progression back off in a circle. We listen to it here, pulls us back to the beginning. Now hopefully you recognize this as the progression in the Autumn Leaves A section, but it's a very common movement used in a lot of standards, and it's very common to get these 2-5-1s in pairs like this, both the major and the minor 2-5-1. So it's a sensible and efficient way to practice. First exercise, the progression in its basic form: D minor 7, G7, C major 7 to F major 7, B minor 7 flat 5, E7, A minor to A7. Now the A7 helps us kick it off again. And this is a 2. D minor 7 is our 2 chord in the key of C. G7 is our 5 chord. C major is our 1 chord. F is our 4 chord. And then really this is like a 2-5. B minor 7 flat 5 to E7. 1 to A minor, so it's like a 2-5-1 in A minor. And then this A7 I've labelled as the 5-7 of 2 because it's the secondary dominant of D minor 7. So A7 wants to take us to D minor. Helps us practice this progression in a circle. Then we kick it off again. Exercise 2, here's another way of playing that progression, just a little bit more interesting, with a bass approach note before each chord. So in exercise 2 we're going to put an approach note, often a chromatic note above the root note of the next chord. So we're going to go D minor 7, A flat as a chromatic fall into G7. Then the D flat as a fall into the C, G flat as a fall into F, C into B, F into E7 flat 9, B, so this is a tone above our root, A minor. Then we're going to have this, a minor 2-5-1 in the key of D minor to take us back to the beginning. So we're going to put that all together. We go. A little bit more interest with those chromatic bass notes, kind of breaks it up a bit, and also that E minor 7 flat 5, A7 is a slightly more interesting way to kick it off again. Exercise 3, why not stick some tritone subs in there for the dominant chords? So progression 3 goes D minor 7, D flat 7 our tritone, C major chord 1, F chord 4, B minor 7 flat 5 tritone, B flat 7. Then we're going to do this, which would set us up to do a D minor here to kick it off again. So that last bit from the A minor 7, A minor 7, B diminished, A minor 7 in first inversion, A major, or thinking A7 really in first inversion, C sharp leads us perfectly into a D minor to kick it all off again. I'll play that all again. Nice sub there. Nice sub here, and then this run. Then we'd start here, and we probably want to find then the G7 or D flat 7, whatever chords we're using for the next run through, up here maybe rather than down there. And exercise 4 with this progression, let's give it a walking bass so it gets a little bit more interesting. I'll do this slowly. Enable us to kick off again. Now what you get here, 1 and on the first beat, and you get 2, 3, 4 on the bass. Kick off again. So practice this progression. You can use my suggestive ways. You can use whatever chord voicings you like. Sing the roots, try and sing a melody over the top, try and sing the thirds or an arpeggio against it. The sensible thing to then next do, try it in another key, try it in all keys eventually. If you can do this in all keys, you'll nail all those 2-5-1s. If you're unsure which keys are related to each other, let's just reference a circle of fifths. And there you go, you've got that inner circle being the relative minor, the outer circle being the relative major. So those keys share chords and share notes and share key signatures, so sharps and flats. With this kind of practice, what you'll find over time is when you're learning new standards or listening to standards, you'll hear these things more readily, you'll spot them more readily, and you'll be able to understand things and place progressions more easily and movements more easily. If you gained value out of today's lesson, please consider hitting that like button. It really helps boost the channel, so I'd appreciate that greatly. I'll put a couple videos up on the screen at the end just to help you with associated topics from today. A video made on how to place chords, and that's how to see a chord and think, what key's that from? Because that's an important skill to develop. And also my video on the 2-5-1 in all keys. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. Any questions, you leave them below. Until next time, you take care.